welcome to Holmes Middle School's Veterans Day celebration. On this day, we commemorate those men and women, some still living and others who have passed on, who have served our country with dedication and selfless sacrifice. We are honored to have community members with us today, many of whom are veterans themselves, as we honor the great land we live in, the freedoms we enjoy, and most importantly, the people responsible for these privileges, our military. They pay a great price for freedom and peace on our behalf, and this is our chance to say thank you to these dedicated individuals. If you think of the people close to you, parents, grandparents, siblings, neighbors, friends, and spouses, you probably know at least one veteran. I encourage you to take a moment this week and thank them for their sacrifice to our nation. Tell them how much you appreciate your freedom and peace, and thank them for their dedication to your protection. The collective experiences of military veterans spans over 2 centuries and 2 world wars, multiple foreign conflicts, and diplomatic endeavors. It is our hope that the information and music presented in this assembly will instill within each of you a sense of pride and deep respect for the wonderful country in which we live and for the people who offer their lives to protect it.
The United States flag symbolizes freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, qualities that our forefathers felt were the essence of American democracy. To salute the stars and stripes is to testify sincere patriotism, loyalty, and love for our country and respect for American ideals. It is to pay homage to the sacrifices made by millions of Americans to keep our way of life secure. There are two ways to properly salute the United States flag. Public Law 94-344, known as the Federal Flag Code, adopted by Congress, prescribes how both salutes should be given. During the ceremony of hoisting or lowering the flag, or when the flag is passing in a parade or in review, all persons present, except those in uniform, should face the flag and stand at attention with the right hand over the heart. Those present in uniform should render the military salute. This means that if you are not in military uniform, you remove your hat and place your hand over your heart, as we do with the Pledge of Allegiance each day. And if you are in military uniform, you salute by bringing the right hand with extended fingers to the brim of a military headdress or to the edge of the right eyebrow.
At this time, we are honored to have representatives from the UCCS, ROTC, 5th Mountain Range Battalion Color Guard Team to present the colors. It is proper etiquette to stand and remain quiet as the colors pass, and remain standing and respectful during the Pledge of Allegiance. It is important to properly salute the American flag as it is presented. For many in this room, this means hand over heart. You must also remain standing until the colors are retired and have left the gym floor. Now please, stand, salute, and show your respect with silence and reverence for the symbol of our nation's freedoms and unity.
Pledge is a promise. When we pledge allegiance to the flag, we promise to work each day to preserve our freedom. Allegiance is loyalty, which we owe to the beliefs that make our country strong and independent. Despite our many conflicting views, our country is indivisible. We stand united. Please join me in pledging our allegiance to this respected symbol of our great nation and the dedicated people who have sacrificed their lives to preserve our freedom and liberty. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
In 1812, the United States entered into a conflict with Great Britain, known as the War of 1812, in which United States citizens fought against Britain's violation of their maritime rights. During this war, a man named Dr. Beans was held prisoner aboard the British ship Minden in the Baltimore Harbor. A close friend of Dr. Beans, named Francis Scott Key, tried to obtain his freedom by carrying a flag of truce and a letter from President Madison to the British ship on September 13, 1814. While the request for freedom was granted, the British knew that they were getting ready to bombard Fort McHenry, and they detained the two men. During the bombardment, Francis Scott Key watched and took solace in the Stars and the Stripes flag as it waved over the fort, knowing that as long as the flag stood, we had not been overcome. When darkness fell and he could no longer see the flag, Key listened throughout the long hours of the night. He knew that with every retaliating blow against the British, the American stronghold had not yet surrendered. As daylight broke the next morning, Key was overjoyed to see that the flag was still there. He removed an old envelope from his pocket and wrote the stirring opening words to our national anthem. "Oh, say, can you see, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through a perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming." Upon returning to shore, Key completed the verse. It gained instant popularity after it was published in the Baltimore American on September 21st, 1814. Nearly a century later, in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed the song our national anthem, a choice that was officially backed by Congress on March 3rd, 1931. Now please stand as we perform the national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Please remain standing as the colors are retired. You may be seated.
The Honor Guard pays meticulous attention to correctly folding the American flag 13 times. Each of the 13 folds has a specific meaning. We are honored to have a presentation from the UCCS ROTC 5th Mountain Ranger Battalion Color Guard Team to demonstrate the meaning of each fold. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veterans departing our ranks. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature and our need for divine guidance. The sixth fold is where our hearts lie, for wholeheartedly pledging allegiance to the country. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces. The eighth fold is a tribute to those who have given their lives for our safety and freedom. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood and mothers. The 10th fold is a tribute to men and fathers. The 11th fold, in the eyes of Hebrew citizens, glorifies the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold, in the eyes of a Christian citizen, glorifies the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. The 13th fold, or when the flag is completely folded, reminds us of our nation's motto, "In God we trust," as the stars are uppermost. After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who serve our country to preserve us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today.
November 11th, 1918, the 11th day of the 11th month at 11 a.m., World War I ended after the powers of the Warring Committee met in a railroad car northeast of Paris to sign an armistice or truce. When the Germans signed this armistice, crowds around the world gathered to celebrate the long-awaited peace. And Armistice Day has since been annually celebrated in the United States, Canada, England, France, Italy, and Belgium. In the fall of 1921, an unidentified American soldier's remains were shipped home after he gave his life in the Great War. In November of the same year, his body was lowered to its final resting place at Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. Above his tomb, on a block of white marble, is inscribed, "Here rests, in honored glory, an American soldier known but to God." It became clear that Armistice Day celebrated the end of World War I more than it celebrated the brave military members who served during its duration. Like the unknown soldier, whose tomb was later expanded to include other unknown soldiers that served and died in World War II and the Korean War. Millions of people have lost their lives during battles to preserve the freedoms and rights of others. Families and friends of these dead veterans longed for a way to honor their memory. In 1954, President Eisenhower signed the bill changing Armistice Day to Veterans Day. He called for Americans everywhere to rededicate themselves to the cause of peace.
this time, our country currently has nearly 1.5 million people on active duty status in the military and nearly 900,000 in the reserves and guard. That is enough people to fill our Broncos Stadium at Mile High 32 times. It is nearly 3.5 times as large as the population of Denver. While in the past, it may have been easy to describe an average military person, the nationwide push for equality and acceptance has broadened the military lens. While service may not be for everyone, anyone can serve. The demographic range has increased in race, gender, age, education, and family status, but each member of each branch stands united in support of our country. They feel every note of the national anthem resonate through their bodies while at rigid attention. When they pledge allegiance, they mean every word, and they show their dedication with their service. They obey orders without hesitation and stand with an individual dignity but united spirit. They ask for nothing in return except for our friendship and understanding. Remember them always, for they have earned our respect and admiration with their blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice.
There is a very popular and emotional story of how taps originated, in which a Union captain in the Civil War named Robert Ellacombe discovered that his son had joined the opposing Confederate Army and died from his wounds on the battlefield. Ellacombe requested that his son be given a full military funeral, despite his enemy status. It was granted a single instrument, the bugle, to play a series of notes found in his son's uniform pocket. While this is a wonderful, albeit tear-jerking, and dramatic story, it is a fabricated one. The origin of taps does date back to the Civil War as in the popular fable. Its story, however, while less eccentric, is supremely real. Until 1862, soldiers were signaled the end of the day with a bugle call, followed by 3 drum beats, dubbed the drum taps, or simply taps. In July 1862, U.S. General Daniel Butterfield decided he wanted to have a more melodious bugle call to signal the time for sleep. But the colloquial name taps stuck with the new melody, so much so that it was formally changed from extinguished lights to taps in American military manuals in 1891 and remains with the melody to this day. Butterfield reworked the existing bugle call and had his brigade bugler, Private Oliver Wilcox Norton, play the new melody for his men, after which buglers from other units became interested in the 24-note tune. It quickly spread throughout the Army, even catching on with Confederate brigades. Shortly after the new tap circulated, it was played at the funeral of a Union cannoneer killed in action. His commanding officer, Captain John Tidball, decided that this would be a safer choice than the traditional rifle volleys, which in wartime could be perceived as an attack. Since that time, taps has been a formally recognized part of United States military funerals. While often played solely by a bugle horn or trumpet, taps has been given lyrics many times since its onset. The most popular lyrics are as follows. Day is done, gone the sun, from the lake, from the hill, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh. Please bow your heads and close your eyes to the haunting melody of taps so that we might dedicate a moment of complete silence in respect to those who have died in service to our great nation.
Today there is, and perhaps there will always be, conflict in the world. Like other things of great value, security does not come cheap. Americans who answered the call to military duty when their country needed them have already paid part of this cost. For over 200 years, the men and women of our armed services have defended the United States and continue to keep vigilant watch over our great nation. Dedicated men and women have served in many wars, from the American Revolution to the war in Iraq. Some have given their lives in conflict that have not been declared wars. We give these servants of peace the special distinction, veteran. The debt of gratitude we as a nation owe these brave soldiers cannot be measured. With this tribute and song, let us remember those who have fallen, those who served in the past, and those who continue to serve. As we close this ceremony, we will perform the anthem of each branch of the United States Armed Forces, including the Army, Coast Guard, Marines, Air Force, and Navy. We ask that the servicemen and women who are present here today please stand during your branch and remain standing so we may honor you for your service and dedication to our great country.